everybody, and welcome to our February's Cheat Insta Live cooking session. So what we've got today is a complete cheats guide to creating a fantastic three-course meal. What I'll do is I'll go through the recipes while we've got a few people waiting to join. But this is today's session is one of those sessions hopefully that will just stay here. So it's a bit like Las Vegas. Whatever happens in this kitchen stays in this kitchen. And what we are trying to do is use some stuff that we might already have in our store cupboards or our freezers and create some fabulous dishes. We're going to go create 3 meals or 3 dishes in half an hour. So we've got a Samosa chaat, which is a fabulous starter. We've got chicken curry puffs, which are again great for dinner. If you want to add some salad with it, it's a great sort of light supper. And the third thing we're going to do is a very quick dessert, again a cheats dessert with any fruit that you might have. Let me go through the ingredients while we've got a few people to start off with. I've just realized I haven't got our packaging, but what you need is veg samosas. So I've got 2 veg samosas here, which I am going to heat up in the air fryer. And if you're going to do the same, then what I suggest is switch on your oven to 160 degrees if it's fan, otherwise 180 degrees, and put that on straight away. So you've got your samosas that you need to, which we've got. We've got our Chana Masala. So this could be any curry that you might have left over, but this is the MK Chana Masala, which is a chickpea curry, and that goes really well with samosas. Then after that, so these are the 2 main dishes that we've got. We've also got an MK Tamarind Chutney. On my plate over here, we've got our Kaju Dhania Murg, which is our very popular chicken with the cashew nut and coriander. And what I've done is I've thawed it and I've taken out the chicken pieces. I've left the gravy on the side. I've just taken out the chicken pieces, and you'll see why. Then we've got some Greek yogurt over here. We've got save, which you should have if you have got the kit, which is like little crispy Indian spicy noodles. And if you don't have save, you can even use Bombay mix, which is great. I've got ready rolled puff pastry, one of life's greatest hacks, because I firmly maintain that life is too short to actually make puff pastry. I've got an egg here, which is taken out. I've got some condensed milk, so I don't need a can, but I've taken out some condensed milk here. I've got some mango puree. Now I've got canned mango puree, but you can use any fresh fruit you've got. So if you've got strawberries, mush them up. So any fruit puree that you've got, or banana, or whatever it is, something that's sort of past its sell-by date. And I think that's pretty much it. And then we've got cardamom powder, which I should have in a bottle here. So that's just basically cardamom, which has been ground up. I've got rose petals to make it look pretty, and pistachios. And what I have done here is we've got dessert happening for this weekend, and this is actually just a mixture of pistachios and cranberries, which I've just mixed up. So what you could do is, if you've got pistachios, that's great, but any sort of dry fruits, just have that. So that's what we've got. So now we're going to do these 3 really easy courses in 25 minutes and wow everybody. But as I said, keep the secret to yourselves. So the first thing, those of you, is to take your oven. As I said, switch on your oven at 160. I've got our 2 samosas, and I'm going to put them in the air fryer here because I don't have an oven here, that is. So 160 degrees, I'll put it on in 10 minutes, and I'll wait for the samosas to get done. The next thing that we've got is we've got our chana, which I've heated up. So this is actually quite warm now. So that's been heated up. And then the third thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to now take this chicken that we've got, which I've taken the Kaju chicken, and I'm going to mush that up in our in the food processor, or in the Thermomix. I'm going to move this out so you can actually see what I'm doing. The connection just goes. So that's our chicken, that's our samosas being done, and I've got my food processor ready. And if you've got a NutriBullet, do that. If you don't want to make a paste, you can also use, just mush it up. So we've got this. I'm going to bung that in this curry and all. So that's 1 portion of our MK curry chicken, but you can use anything else, and that is going to go in. And literally, I'm going to just roughly, for a few seconds. Okay, So this is a very powerful machine. So yours will probably take longer. But I've literally done it for 3 seconds. And you can see what this looks like. So this is just mushed up, roughly paste. Now you can do the same thing with the knife as well. You can use the knife and put your kaju chicken or any leftover dry curry. But the nice thing about it is if you've done this, what's happening is it's already got all the flavors and it saves you all the cooking. So I'm going to put this here, and that is pretty much the extent of the cooking or the prep we're going to do. The rest of the stuff is going to be all sort of put together. So samosas are in here. This has been mushed up, and while the samosas are dead, I'm going to make the curry puff. So I will move this now, and we will get back to the new prep area. Just here. Yeah. Okay. So let's start doing our curry puffs. And again, this is a great way of using up any leftovers. You've got Bombay potatoes, anything that you might have cooked in any of these sessions, and you've got some stuff lying about. It's a fabulous way of using this up, and you could put them in paratha rolls that we spoke about when we did the egg rolls. But we can also just use puff pastry. So again, ready roll puff pastry. I'm going to make about 6 because I think that should be enough for our dinner. So I'm going to leave that aside. But first, let me take out the chicken. And what I'm going to do with that chicken, here's the chicken. I will first take this out. And you can see it's not a paste, but it's kind of a mush. Because what you need is you don't really want it to be completely I do a fabulous other dish. I make a mousse, and what I do with that is I really whip it up, put some cream into it, and then put them into little pastry cases. But this is just literally our kaju dhania chicken, which is chicken with cashew nut and coconut, and I've mushed it up into a round paste. Yeah, so that's the first thing that we do. And then the next thing that we want to add to is, let me get my wonderful tray of it here. And what I'm going to do is literally just take some chopped onions. So normal chopped onions. If you can see what's happening here, I'll put it like this so you should be able to see it. So that's the chicken. I'm going to put about 1 tablespoon of finely chopped onions, because what you want is you want that bite. So 1 tablespoon of finely chopped onion. That's gone into 1 portion of our this is about 200 grams of chicken cooked. Some coriander leaves, and again I'm going to put roughly about 1 teaspoon of coriander leaves, chopped coriander leaves into it. That's that. And then we mix it up. If you want it hotter, you can add some green chilies to it. And this is a great thing to have for dinner, or have for lunch. You've got friends coming in. It's a fabulously quick and easy recipe. So there you've got your chicken mashed up with some onion bits in it, and you've got coriander. So that's there. The next thing we are now going to do is to make the puff. It depends how adventurous you feel. So that's my ready roll puff pastry. You can use any kind of puff pastry. This is already rolled. Now there are 2 ways of doing it. If you have a pastry cutter, then use a pastry cutter. I'm just using a bowl. So I'm going to put this here. You can cut this into squares, or you can cut this into circles. So I'm just using a bowl, and I'm just cutting that into circles. So I'll do 6 out of this. And depends, if you've got very hungry children, you'll probably get about 10 out of this. But for now, I'm just going to show you. So that's 6 circles, which have very easily just come out, literally by using a bowl with a sharp rib. But if you've got a pastry cutter, go for it. So I'm going to just take out my 6 circles and put them on a plate for now. So that's 1, 2. And if you're joining us now, just to recap, the samosas are in the oven 10 minutes or 12 minutes at 160 degrees. The chana that we have, the chickpeas, has been heated up. And we're just using puff pastry, and we've got 6 in front of us. I'll erase them, so I'll just make a few more. And this will actually, if you don't want to cook the whole lot, this can actually stay in the fridge as well, and you can just have it another day. You can have have it tomorrow or day after for lunch. And again, if you're entertaining, you can put pretty much what you want in it, but a curry puff is really good. And you can make it as fancy or as dinky as you want. So if you want big ones, you can use big ones for a, but if you've got friends coming or you've got a cocktail party and you want to make them for Christmas and make them really dinky, then that's quite good as well. So right, let me do this for now, and I'm going to save these little bits, because what we can do is we can make a little dessert which goes with our curry, with our mango souffle that we talked about. So that's it. 6 of these, or about 8 of these, cut into circles. I've got my egg white here, my egg here, and I've got a little bit of water that I've just kept here just to wet my finger. So that's there. And then we've got our chicken paste. So all I'm going to do is use my hands, put literally a nice heaped teaspoon of this chicken in there, use my finger and put my hand around that, and then fold it in half. Just make sure that you've got, the chicken is inside, so you don't want the chicken to come out. So that's a semicircle, as you can see. And then a bit like press it hard, so just flatten this bit a little bit, and then using your fingers, you just crimp it. So you pull and you crimp, you pull, and if you don't want to do that, you can just use a fork and you can just press it so it comes out. But I think crimping makes it look quite pretty. So you can see fold, press, fold, press, fold, press, and that's crimped. Yeah. So it's beautifully crimped. I'm going to find a plate to just put it on. So that's the first one done, first curry puff done. Then I put it here. And like that, if you're making the others, again, take your circle, ready roll puff pastry. This is the chicken filling in there. Make sure your hands are dry. Here you go. Take water. That's my samosa being done. Water. Half of it, put water around half of it. Make sure the paste stays inside, if you can see it, and then press it. And again, as I said, this is a great way of making sure, using up any leftover dry curry or stir fry or whatever you've got. And you can see it's become a crescent, half moon. I've pressed this bit so it's stuck and it's got a bit flat, and then I'm just going to crimp it. And again, as I said, you don't have to crimp it, you can use your, but just make sure that there's nothing coming out, because what you don't want is this bit to be wet and oozy and then it comes out. And that's our second one done. So they look really pretty, like half moons or crescent moons. And let me make 2 more and we'll carry on making the rest of it afterwards. So there we go. 2 more. Water around the edge. Fold it like that. And it's actually quite, as most people will say, that I don't really stand still most of the time and my brain's sort of going all the time. I find it very hard to relax. So cooking for me is just, it just calms me down, and I find that it's almost like meditation, and you're getting something nice at the end of it. But something like this, if you're doing it, the monotony and the repetition of this is quite nice, especially in these days when you want to be able to concentrate something and you're getting something out of it. So, right. So I'm looking a bit messy, but there we go. So that's our third one, and I'm going to do one more. So that's the last one we'll do. So that's the fourth. And again, as I said, you could pretty much put anything. Sometimes I just put 1 Boursin cheese into it, and if you're going to make a sweet one, you can put a piece of Bounty, because the chocolate just melts and the coconut is just fabulous. So if you like Bounty, I just make these. And again, as I said, you can make them sweet, you can make them savory, and you can make them as dinky. And if you're going to have them, you can make them almost like Cornish pasties. Give people 4 big ones or 2 big ones if they're having them for dinner. But I think it just looks nice. It's something that you can prepare beforehand, and then if you've got friends coming in, all you do is just take them out of the fridge. Make sure they're covered with cling wrap, and then what you do is it's just ready to go. So I'm going to move this out. I'll carry on doing these later on. But you can see here are my 4 little dinky curry puffs ready. Then I'm just going to take the egg wash, and I'll just do an egg wash on top of them. You don't have to do it, but if you do, then you just make sure it just gives it a lovely color. So that's the egg wash on that. I'm going to just cover up the remainder of my pastry. What you don't want to do is you don't want it to dry out for later on. So that's the puff pastry, that's the thing done. And at this point you can cover it and leave it in the fridge until you're ready for dinner. But what I've done is, that's my samosas done. So I'm going to take out the samosas and just put them on a tray for now. And then I will take and this is, if you're going to put them in an oven, heat up your oven to 180, which it should be heated, because you should be taking out your samosas, and you put these curry puffs in there. So I'm going to put my curry puffs in there. If you want, you can put sesame seeds, or you can put nigella seeds or something to make it look quite pretty. So here are my 4 curry puffs going in, and I'm going to put them back in the oven, 160 degrees for 10 minutes. And I know Jack's here, and after the first session, what she did is she went and bought an air fryer, and I have no shares in air fryers, but it's actually fabulous, because I find that especially if there's 2 or 3 of us, you don't really need an oven most of the time. So that's gone in. But what I said, remember what I said, we've got these leftover, we've got the leftover bits of the puff pastry, you know, the odd bits, and that's actually quite, because in a puff pastry is lovely to just have, you know, it's just lovely to have with dessert. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take, just to show you, I'm literally going to take 1 piece. And remember the cardamom powder, which all of you should have. So where's my cardamom going? Here's my cardamom powder. I'm literally going to just put a little bit of cardamom in it, like that. Yeah, and then just roll it up. Sorry, and I forgot something else. It needs to have sugar in it. So I'll just find my sugar. I don't know where my sugar is. But okay, if I don't have sugar here, I've got my pistachio and cranberry mix, so we can put that in. You don't have to do this, but or you can just put sugar. And then all I've done is I've just rolled it up. Like that. And if you're feeling that if you find that you want to make it look a bit special, you can take a small, you can make much smaller circles. I'm going to just use my hand at the moment. You can take that and you can fill it up with sugar, and here, as I said, I've got pistachios and cranberries, and you can do pretty much the same thing that I've done. So we can fold it in half, and you've got these really dinky little pistachio infused half moon puffs as well. So I'm not doing this very neatly, but I'm just to show you. And what I'll do is I'll just to show you, I'm going to bung that in with so that's a teeny tiny one, and I'm just going to bump that in with the samosa, with the curry puffs. We can use that as a side thing. You can also cut these into hearts, and you can put whatever, sugar, whatever, and then maple syrup, whatever you want, and then you can have that as a side. So that's our curry puffs, shortcut going in. Our samosas are now heated. Before I do the samosas, I'm going to first do the dessert, and then we are going to have the samosas. So all three things will be made ready. Now this dessert that I'm going to talk about, it's just, it's yogurt, condensed milk, and fruit. So I'm going to remove a little bit from here because I need, so this is our yogurt. It's a Shrikhand. It's again, it could be flavored with anything. In India, you sometimes just have plain Shrikhand, which is a sweetened yogurt. And it's really, really nice, but I'm going to show you a fruit version here, and people are surprised how easy it is. I'm just going to take out a little bit of yogurt because we need it for our chaat. So I've got about half a cup of yogurt here, which is Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is actually quite important because in India you use hunker. So in India what you do is you use you take the yogurt, which is homemade yogurt, because you normally don't buy yogurt, you just set it every day, and then you hang it up in a muslin cloth overnight, and all the water sort of drips out, and what you've left is almost, the thick, the whey comes out, you've got the thick thing, and then you just flavor it and you have it. And one of life's greatest pleasures is fresh mangoes with that. You just have it with any fruit, and it's cooling because yogurt sort of calms your gut down. So here I've got yogurt, and then I've got mango puree in here. So this is literally tinned mango puree. But if you've got fruits, if there's anything, if you've got fruits left over from summer, if you've got things like strawberries, which is frozen, again great thing. So I've got mango puree, I've got yogurt, and I'm going to put some condensed milk. Now you're going to say how much? Now this is pretty much by taste. So what I would say is for 1 portion of condensed milk, if you're using sort of 3 tablespoons, double that up with yogurt, double that up with the fruit puree, so that's 6 tablespoons of whatever fruit, and then double that again and put 12 tablespoons of yogurt. So it goes double and double. But again, if you've got very sour fruit, if you're using strawberries instead of mangoes, you might need to add a little bit more condensed milk. That's condensed milk, mango puree, and yogurt. Yeah, all mixed up. This will set a little bit. Mine's a little runny at the moment. Cardamom powder, little bit of cardamom powder. It's just green cardamom powder which we grind up and keep. There you can see. Little bit of, and then mix that up. And what you need to do at this point is taste it, because see if it needs anything. So I'm going to just perfect. Martini glasses work really well, but I'm using an ordinary little chai cup because you want to be able to see it. You can see that goes in and how pretty that looks. Get that up. Rose petals, very important. Dried rose petals. If you've got fresh, some growing in the garden, that's quite nice. Rose petals go on. And then here I've got this mixture, and as I said, this is pistachio and cranberry, which we just roasted this afternoon for our thalis, because it's just again.
Could you freeze this for ice lollies?
No, you can't, because yogurt doesn't freeze. If you're going to use it for ice lollies, use milk, or use something like thick, it's like Indian kulfi, which is thickened milk, but use cream otherwise. Yogurt, I have realized, much to my horror, doesn't freeze. But it's literally a 5-minute job. So either chill it. This is meant to be served chilled. So there we go. Another thing which you could do is if you've got some very fancy posh granola, that's another thing you can put on it. And again, if you want, you can serve that. So that's it. You can see how easy it is and how quick it is and how pretty it looks. And what you can do is you can also use something like a granny snap with it. Or if you wanted to put ginger nut biscuits crushed ginger nut biscuits at the bottom, so it's almost like a cheesecake, but in layers. So as I said, martini glasses look very nice, but chai cups don't look bad either. So that's our dessert done, which has literally taken a minute to put together. Our samosas are now done, which is here, and I'm going to now show you how to do the chaat. And I'm going to actually pull this down a little bit. Yeah. So there's our samosas. It's just ordinary samosas. And the nice thing about using a samosa is that it's already got the potatoes. So it's got the crispy bit in it, and it's got the potatoes which is spiced up. But what you do with the samosas is that make sure that they're crisp, because if it's oily and soggy, it's never going to have the same impact. So I've got 2 samosas here, and I'm going to get a knife. And what we do is, if I can find the knife here. Quite a big knife, but that's okay. And all I'm going to do is cut it into pieces. So rough pieces. I'm going to cut each samosa into sort of bite-sized 6 pieces. So cut that up. Don't get too worried about making it look pretty. You can still see the steam coming out of the samosa. So it's still quite hot. I'll put it here so you can really see it like that. And this will be enough for about 2 people for a starter. Now the thing about this, the only thing about making any kind of chaat is chaat has got to have sweet, sour, savory, cold. It's got textures and it's got flavors and it's got lots of different elements going. It's supposed to work on all corners of all bits of your tongue. So do not make chaat and leave it, because as I said, it's an assembly job. Don't leave chaat, especially something like this, because you're putting crispy samosas and then you're putting something soggy on it, and it's not really going to be nice. So that's that. I've got my chickpeas here, which is ready made. Obviously our MK chickpea. And I'm going to find a spoon. If I can find a spoon, I will be very grateful. but at the moment I can't seem to find the spoon. Yes, here's one here. Just give me a minute. Let me just wipe this. So, chickpeas, samosas, let's put this here so you can hopefully see this. So samosas here, and then the next thing we do, let's put it like that. So samosas here, next thing is chana. So for 2 samosas, I'm going to put about 4 heaped teaspoons of chana. You don't want to, and it's warm chana chaat. So 4 teaspoons of our cooked chana, which goes on it like that. Then the next thing you do is, remember that yogurt I kept away, which is about 2 tablespoons of yogurt, and that goes on it. So think about it, you've got crispy samosas, you've got warm chana, chickpeas, you've now put cooling yogurt on it. The next thing you're going to put is tamarind chutney, and this is what makes or breaks the chaat. We've got our ready-made tamarind chutney that we make, and I find this a fabulous store-covered ingredient, because what we do with this is we use it, sometimes I use it with our sweet and sour aubergines. You can use it to put it on pork. If you're doing a Sunday roast, just use it as a marinade. We've used it in gin cocktails because we are lucky enough to have the best gin distillery next to us. We put it in, as we said, we put it in cocktails, and of course you have it with, with samosas and everything. So that's our tamarind chutney. And a lot of people, when they look at this chutney, they say, oh, this is a sauce, it's not a chutney. And I know, because in India, this is a chutney. So I'm just going to drip this, and this is sort of, it's sweet and it's sour, and we put ginger in it, and we put black salt, and so you can see there how pretty does that look. So that's that. Then the next thing we are going to put on top of it is pomegranate. And again, before we put pomegranate, we are going to put onions. So crispy onions, very little, because you don't want too much. So that's a little bit of onions that go on it. The next thing that's going to go on it is chopped coriander leaves. And again, this is a menu. You don't have to put all of it, but it just looks, and you can imagine, all the flavors and all the colors and everything. Next is save, which is made with chickpea flour. It is gluten-free, but what you could do is also use Bombay mix. So a little bit of save goes on top of it. Yeah. And then the last thing which will go on is some pomegranate. And we make a lot of chaat. I mean, if you've had us cater for you or you've come to us, we are always making chaat. But there you go. So that is a samosa chole chaat. You can see how pretty it looks, and all it is, it's samosas. It's got obviously the warm chickpeas on it, and it's got a whole lot. So I'm going to find a spoon, and I am actually going to taste this. I don't know what's happened to all our spoons today. We seem to have completely disappeared on spoons. Okay, so there's my spoon. I'm going to actually taste this and see. And if you want it hotter, add green chilies to it. It is actually very good. It is very good. I hope you're making it. So that's our samosa chole chaat done in literally 2 minutes. Then the next thing is the curry puffs should be ready. And you can see they've all swollen up and they're lovely. So let me find another plate. Here. And see how pretty these look. And our little dinky one is also done, which probably doesn't look as pretty because I obviously didn't spend as much effort on it. Now, if you want to do this with short crust pastry, that's also fine. But puff is lovely. So let me just put that. And that's our little dinky one which I had kept. So let me now put everything together. So let's clear out this mess from here. And you can see, I don't know how much time we took, about 20-25 minutes. That's 3 courses done. So if you've got somebody coming in unexpectedly and you've got these things there, it's literally putting it together, and someone's going to think that you've slaved hours and hours over it. So that's your first course, your samosa chole chaat done. That's your second course, which is your chicken curry puffs. As you can see how beautiful they look, and if you look this side, That's great. And I'm going to open one up so you're going to see what it looks like inside. And then you've got dessert, which is again, ready. And with dessert, I've obviously made one dinky little thing, which I find a little plate to put that on. So that's there. So let me remove these and I'll open one of the puffs and you can see what it looks like. So let me find a knife. So that's the curry puff, you can see. And you can see how lovely and soft they are. And what's happened is because you've got the chicken in there, it sort of oozed a little bit, so it's moist. You can see it's all lovely and moist. It's light because it's puff pastry. And because you've got onions, green chilies, and coriander, it's really brought it up. And then again, here's dessert ready for you. And I'm going to use one of these spoons, and you can see if you go into this, needs to set a little bit, but here you go. And how easy was that? I think we've taken about 20 minutes, 3 courses done. Great for entertaining. You can use, for the chaat, you can do little bits and starters. You can put them out on a big platter and people can help themselves. You can bring a big tray of these curry puffs out, dessert out, and that's 20 minutes. You're literally done a 3-course meal using cheat hacks. So hopefully you found that easy and you found that useful. Next week we are going to do another lot of cheat hacks as well. So what we are going to do is using dal, lentils, or using keema, which is again one of our staple dishes. We're going to do stuffed aubergines with it. We're doing a cabbage salad with it, and I think we're doing something else. So again, that's using store-cupboard ingredients and doing something a bit extra, and elevating it to the sublime. So hopefully, everyone's found that really useful, and we'll see you next week. Now, hopefully, there's been no sort of technical glitches. So I am going to put this up on IGTV now. So if you want to watch it and then go through it when I've not gone through it at a rocket pace, please sort of get all the stuff. And as I said, it's not prescriptive, so you could substitute one thing for another, but make sure that you've kept the basics right. So use crunchy, use salty, savory, whatever for your chaat, and we'll see you next week. So if you've got any questions, ping them over. But otherwise, I'm going to be enjoying my curry puffs with a drink. So that's me sorted. So take care, guys, and thank you very much, and lots of love.